Hey, Clay Clark. It's your favorite gunslinger, Brett Favre. Just reminding you, you are a great American. I mean, great. So keep slinging those Hail Marys. God bless.
Are you finding yourself always running out of time? Always running short on time? Always finding yourself in a spot where you just don't have enough time to get things done? Well, on today's show, we're going to teach you how to get 13 hours per week of your life back. But first, I would like to demonstrate what it looks like or what it sounds like to waste an epic amount of time.
Ah, the open outdoors. It's time for old Bob Roger to get out the old pen and pad and write down my notes. Dear Notes, today is June 4th. Dear Notes, this is the 4th day of June. Dear Notes, it's the day before the 5th of June. Dear Notes, it's 15 days till June 19th. Dear Notes, the month is June, and it's only just begun because, you see, it's the 4th. Dear Notes, it's 6-4. Dear Notes, it's Monday. Sincerely, Bob Roger. P.S. I need some more paper.
Pull it through the paint, wiggling it. Say, wiggle it. Or start with just...
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, on today's show, it is a very special occasion because, Z, we're going to help you, the listener, regain 13 hours of your week back.
That's awesome.
13 hours, Z.
That's a little more than half a day. I mean, I just, I don't want to use math on you or anything.
Let's start off with this idea and see if you want to argue with me. We have not rehearsed this in any way, shape, or form. I believe fundamentally that time is your most important asset. Do you agree with that, or would you say something else? I mean, do you believe in bronze is our most important asset, or silver, or money?
Precious gems, maybe. I don't
Bitcoin.
know.
In your mind, what is the most precious asset? Is time the most precious asset?
I would say that it probably is because they don't make any more of it, and it just keeps on a ticking. I mean, even as we're doing the show, it's a ticking. And we only have so much time, only so much time in a day, only so many times in a week. And it's how you use that, the most precious assets, is what I think separates winners from losers.
Well, we had a guest on the show earlier this year by the name of Nir Eyal. Nir Eyal. He's a best-selling author, and he recently wrote this book called Indistractable. Indistractable. And as I was going through his book, Indistractable, I thought, you know what? The Thrive Nation needs to know about this book and needs to know about a couple big ideas in the book. And one idea he has in the book, and I need you, Z, to teach us the moves.
I'm right here.
To help set us free. He says the average American is spending 13 hours a week stuck in a hunched over position responding to email. 13 hours.
It's so funny the other day. I had, I own several businesses, as we all know.
Yeah.
And I had one of my controllers was telling me, he said, finally she texted me and said, I need this thing to wrap up some year end, to wrap up some stuff, I said, oh, okay, well, I'll swing by and sign it. I get it signed and we'll, finish it up. And she said, well, I emailed you so many times about that. I finally looked at her and I said, haven't you figured it out by now? I don't do emails. I don't read emails unless I'm specifically looking for one or needing one. So I'm like, if you want to get me, you text me or call me. But emails, I mean, that's just a delete game.
And I know there's somebody out there that's saying, really? You mean to tell me that you are giving me advice right now as a business owner to not check email? Well, I'm going to give you some rules for email, and so you can kind of break down the rules here
Okay,
for
let's
me.
break them down.
Rule number 1: your company should respond to client emails or customer emails. If anybody's paying you or you're paying them, your company needs to respond to that, but you don't have to.
You don't have to.
But I think a lot of business owners can't seem to they can't seem to separate themselves from the addictive behavior that they've been doing emails for so long that now you see business owners who have 20 employees, 30 employees, 40 employees, and they spend their day as the owner doing what is perhaps the lowest level activity possible, and it's responding to random emails. Help somebody out there. There's somebody out there listening right now who can relate to this, because the average person is spending 13 hours a week via email.
I know it's crazy. I loved your story you told a few weeks ago about how on the weekends you unplug from the Matrix.
I do, yes.
And that's what we're talking about, is unplugging from the Matrix. And if you've never watched The Matrix, go watch The Matrix. Okay. So anyway, you turn off your phone for the weekend.
Every weekend.
Every weekend. You're very relevant with your kids. And and then whenever you do turn your phone on Monday morning, there is this
festival of lights.
A festival of tick, 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 tick. And I love the narrative where you had a former client
Oh my gosh.
reach out to you in just a panic mode on like late Friday night. And then Saturday, just multiple times, panic, 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 panic. Sunday, panic, 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 panic.
Right.
And then Sunday evening late goes, oh, never mind, I got it figured out.
This week's narrative was kind of almost as funny. There was somebody who I agreed to meet with tomorrow, Tuesday, at a set time. And on Friday, the message comes in and says, just confirming, we're going to meet Tuesday, right? Question mark. So that was Friday night, I guess it came in or
Sure.
something. I didn't see it. Didn't see it Saturday. Saturday, it's, hey, I'm just confirming, making sure we're good
Yeah.
for Tuesday.
Yep.
Sunday, hey, I just want you to know I can't meet Tuesday. Monday, did you get my message? That's 4 interruptions from my kids I would have had.
I know. And
4 from the same person.
And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of, just take a deep breath, because this is very stressful to think that you could ever be disconnected from the litany of emails that constantly are pushed out to you. Just think, meditate on this.
Will somebody die?
They might.
Should I unplug?
Because you didn't get the email.
Will somebody die?
If
What if my
it's-
kids are trying to reach me?
If it's really important, they'll figure out a way to get it to you.
Oh, boy.
So a lot of times, it's just like you said with these things. I mean, people email you something and they want a response, but that doesn't mean you have to give them a response. Now, if you are, like Clay said, if you are the person that's hired to read and to respond to emails for your company, that's a whole different keg of, can of worms. We're talking about, like me, I don't sit there and read emails. I don't really even look at emails. And I figured, to me, if it's important and they know my email address, they can call my office, get a hold of my personal assistant. They can figure, if it's important, then they will get in touch with me. They'll call me or they'll text me. Now, text messages I do listen to, but those aren't just random push messages. It's getting a little bit more that way anymore, but they're quick, they're easy. Bam, I get rid of them, and they're not. It doesn't bother my lifestyle like emails and formulating a response, and then, or do you have to respond, or oh my gosh, because to them it's, and I love the ones that come in on the capital letters, urgent, emergency, and I don't even look at those. And I figure if it's urgent, if it's an emergency, you don't send it by email. That's just the way it is. So I mean, for me, it frees up my life, it frees up my day. I probably spend more time trying to unsubscribe to cred that you get subscribed to. I think there's a whole barter system based upon Bitcoin, and then the second most popular bartering system is email addresses. I'll give you 10, you give me 10. I'll sell you 5, you sell me 5.
Think about this idea for a second. If you waste 13 hours a week responding to emails, and there's 52 weeks in a year. That's going to take us to a spot where you go, that's kind of a big number.
That's kind of a big number.
And then you say 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. So for every decade, Holmes, every decade, you are losing 169 40-hour weeks every decade.
Wow.
169 weeks every decade. I mean, we're talking about it's like a day and a half, almost 2 days a week. The average person is spending on email. And I want to get Charles Kolaw's take on this in a second. But before I do that, I feel like I need the megaphone because this is I want to bring some nuance and some subtlety to this idea. Here, Z.
Do it.
I'm going to make a list of the things you don't have to respond to. Okay, you don't have to. And Z, you're the first one really who gave me permission to not respond to these things, and I think it helped me a lot. So I'm going to bring up these things.
Okay.
And you can unpack them. I'm just going to list them off. These are things that we don't have to respond to, but we feel like we have to. So here we go.
Hey, before we do that,
Yeah.
I think Charles wants to.
Charles has a hot take
and
right
he's-
now.
he's a
We're
big-
going
he's-
live and hot to Charles right now in the booth here.
Yes, Clay. A few months ago, Clay was talking to me about emails because I get lots of emails coming in.
Oh, yeah, you
and
do.
My leadership team was sending me a bunch of different stuff. We have 2 different projects right now going.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm getting these emails in, and he says, death by email. I'm like, what is that? He's like, that's when people just send you email after email after email. It's like communicating like in text messages back and forth by email. And that stuff was all funneling in from some of my leadership team. And he coached me up because I feel like everything's a burning fire and I've got to respond quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like sitting on top of your email, which is totally not practical as a leader or as
Dude.
anybody being productive on your action steps for the day. And he says, schedule a time. Everybody has to do it within that time frame. Your business will not fail.
Yes.
Your business will not burn down. And I coached my staff through that, and it was a game changer. Just the last 2 months, my VP, Dan Harrigan, he was like, this has changed. It's even freed him up because it's given him more power to make decisions.
Yep.
And then on that set time, he's literally got like 15 or 20 quick questions, and we can just run through it like that. Bam,
It is
bam, bam.
awesome.
And I can make a decision. And it was like hours of emails back and forth throughout the work week. And so it was huge. So you were a huge part of that. He said, oh my gosh, death by email. You got to stop that. You got to get it into a set scheduled time. So I meet with him on the gatekeeper meeting every Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we knock out all
Oh
those
my
action
gosh.
items, all those decisions.
It's turning me on right
and
now.
half of the
Stop it.
people figure out half the problems within each department get figured out by the time you get it. So you only have to deal with your upper level issues, and you don't have to deal with all the petty things.
So what I do on a daily basis, and I appreciate you sharing that, Charles, what I do is I get to work, I plan out my day. Again, I like to get up at 3 in the morning. You don't have to do that. Get up at 5 or 6 or 7, whatever works for you. But I get up at 3, and I plan out my day. I make my to-do list. I make my calendar. And then after I've done that, John tells me the emails that I need to respond to that are related to me personally. So I just want to share with the listeners. Can I share with the listeners my specific stuff I had to respond to today via email? Does that sound fair?
It sounds fair to me.
So let me pull up my list here. I've got a to-do list, and Kendall, you can zoom in on the list, just my to-do list here. So I'm gonna pull it up real quick here, and here we go. I'm gonna look here. Okay, so I had to let's see here. For Sam Adams Realty, I have a $286 bill. Boom. Matthew Farici, who's a wonderful PR expert guy, has suggested we might want to interview a Princeton professor on the show. That's cool. Elephant in the Room has a new commercial that I need to proof. But anyway, you can see the things on this list are the only things that I don't need to John just puts it on the list, the things that I need to respond to there. But I don't need to respond to everything, see?
That's a fantastic list, I just might say.
It's fantastic, but I don't need to respond to everything. Furthermore, I never, ever, 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 ever look at my email at all after 6 in the morning.
It's great.
Now, I've read a lot of books about this, so work with me on this. Most of the super successful people, Paul Graham talks about this. Paul Graham, the guy behind Airbnb, Dropbox, and Reddit, he explains that he spends 90% of his day not near a smartphone. 90% of his day.
Awesome.
90, not the other way around. So I'm going to make a list, Z, of the things that you do not have to respond to, and then, Z, you can preach why. I'm going with the megaphone because I want it to be nice and subtle. Here we go.
You do not have to respond to mass mailers. When you receive a mass mailer, Z, why do you not have to respond personally call Victoria's Secret and let them know you will not be doing business with them today.
You know what? Sometimes I think when you try to unsubscribe, they know then it's an active email, and then they sell it to other people. They don't get any more from them, but then all of a sudden it seems like it goes boop, 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 boop. You get more. So I'm not sure if that's even the move.
You don't have to respond.
You don't have to respond because your lack of response. Here's one thing I told someone the other day. They said, "Man, I keep texting this person that won't text me back." I go, "There's your answer." They are answering you. And when you don't respond to one of these mass emailings that is just throwing a big net out there to see if they can catch somebody, your non-response is your response.
Now, you don't have to respond to sales calls. Like if somebody calls you and you answer the phone and you recognize that it's a sales call, you don't have to take that call.
Yeah, I love it now on my smartphone when I get a call, it'll say spam risk. And I'm thinking, okay, and I'm just kind of curious what they were trying to sell me. Maybe I never answer. If I don't have the number locked into my phone, I never answer them. So a lot of times I'll tell people, hey, I'm going to call you, and I give them my number. So text me first and let me know it's you. Otherwise, I won't answer it. But if you leave a message, I'll call you back if it's if I need to.
There's also really this terrible nefarious thing called robocalls. You don't have to respond to robocalls. You don't have to respond to robocalls.
Robocalls, robo emails, or anything. But on a sidebar, you want my least favorite emails to get?
What is it?
Is when I have two employees that are high up in the organization, maybe a manager here or a controller here or a accountant here or something, and they get into a fight, and they do it via email, and they CC me because that's the power that I know. I just chuckle sometimes and I laugh. And I go, I just delete, and I go, did they even think that I'm going to read this? I mean, if it's a problem that I need to address, someone will call me, right? I'm not going to sit here and follow them going tit for tat with each other on why this bill should have been paid a week ago, or just whatever it is, or why wouldn't that invoice looked at closer, just all that kind of inner workings of fighting, and it's all bickering, and it's all caps, and this and that, and urgent, and you're an idiot, and all that kind of stuff, so.
Now, people you don't like, you don't have to return their call ever. If you don't like them. Is that true?
Unless you're married to them, then you probably need to.
Whoa, that's a different show. Now, you don't have to respond to communication from people you don't want to know.
That is true too. I mean, you get to choose the people you talk with. You get to choose how you spend your day. If you want to. If not, you can just let all these push notifications and emails and spam calls and robocalls, and you could eat up pretty much your entire day just working that alone.
You don't have to respond to Facebook invites or birthday. The old birthday move. Hey, it's your birthday. Now I'm going to spend I'm going to force you to respond to my birthday well wish to you. You don't have to respond to that.
Yeah, I challenge you this. Fasting is something good for us. It's good for our mind. It's good for our bodies. And you don't always just have to fast from a food item or food groups. I would give you this. I'd give you a 30-day fasting challenge. Everybody listening out there, our listening audience, and that is from social media. Just unplug it. I mean, delete it off your phone. Delete it off your computer. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, anything you have on there that is a social media app, delete it for 30 days and see how you feel. It's kind of like, not eating, kind of going vegan for 30 days or doing like Charles does and eat nothing but chicken and cottage cheese and water or so. I don't know what he does, but anyway,
meat and vegetables. That's all he does over there.
And the first few days, because they have designed those to be addictive. If you don't know that, now you do. They've designed them to be addictive, and they kind of mess with your brain a little bit because addictions are that way. So the first few days may be tough. I mean, maybe going, oh wow, I wonder what Billy posted, because Billy always posted. He always posts something really cool every day. He always posts an uplifting, encouraging, edifying statement, and I need that today. So I'm going to get back on Instagram and just look at that, because that's good for me. No, don't. Go 30 days without social media and see how you do. And I bet you when you're done with 30 days, you're happier, you were more productive, you got more stuff done, you were less upset over some silly argument that was happening on Facebook about whatever Trump did, the last Trump thing he did, or whatever. And it's a game changer. Charles.
Yes, hey, we detoxed our kids off it. Like we grounded our kids from all social media.
I love this story.
For a couple weeks. And it was amazing. They were happier. They're communicating with adults like intelligent human beings. You could sit there and have dinner, and they're interacting and talking about their day. And I'm like, look at you guys. You guys are so much happier without all of these distractions. It's amazing to me how much joy it brought in our house.
I call it gamer face. Gamer face. It's when people have been playing video games too long.
Yes.
And you see them, and they're like, and you go, hey, no, seriously, how are you?
Yes.
It's like gamer face. It's like
it is.
It's weird.
It's game. Back in our day, we didn't
Video
have all
games.
this, but video games were a thing because that was on the episode. Guys would stay up all night for days playing a game.
Bro, I played Galaga for 7 days straight.
I nearly beat my record twice. Bro.
You smell like fish. Have you taken a shower this week? No, I just was trying to get the next level. I mean, just get out of there.
I can't get past that one boss, man. I'm so close.
Now, other things you don't have to respond to. You don't have to respond to LinkedIn messages.
Nope.
You don't have to respond to YouTube messages.
Nope.
You don't have to respond to text messages or voice messages. Now, this is what's crazy. If you're an entrepreneur, you are going to feel the need to respond because you had to be super responsive to build that baby business.
Oh, yeah.
So now you feel like you have to respond because you're that guy who can't handle the voicemail being full. Now, this is some really crazy crap. As we've started interviewing more billionaires and millionaires on this show, I have discovered that almost every billionaire and millionaire that we've interviewed on the show doesn't actually have a voicemail. Like this is their voicemail. The typical voicemail is, "Thank you for calling Clay Clark. We appreciate your call, and please leave your name and number. Please leave your name and number after the beep, and I'll get back to you." Something like that. But when you call these super successful people, their voicemail is just a click. Like it just boop, and there's nothing there, and it says this voicemail box is full. So I thought what I would do a couple years ago, I'm gonna call my own voicemail here and see what happens. I had Andy, my friend who's British, do my voicemail, and it is the best ever because people don't leave voicemails, and if they do, let me cue it up here.
It's intimidating.
Let me see if it works.
His voice comes on there, and it's just I like to call it just to hear him.
I'm gonna call it.
Please enter your password, then press pound.
I don't know what happened.
What'd you do? What happened?
That's my current voicemail, I guess. It's just great. Isn't that great?
It's
like, what happened? And so people tell me all the time, like, dude, I tried leaving you a voicemail. Is your phone messed up? I love that.
Yeah.
It is
yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, it's messed up, bro. Sorry. It's always messed up.
Oh,
a
man.
glitch.
And
It's
if you dress like this and you have a voicemail like that, no one's going to try to talk to you.
No one. It's so good.
It's awesome.
So good. It's the move.
It's great.
It's the move.
It's hard to even get service at restaurants when you dress like this. But the point is, if you're either gaining traction or distraction. And here's the teaching moment. Okay, picture Z. We've got Nir Eyal talks about this in his book. He says, picture a line going from left to right. And if you're watching on video right now, I'm not sure how this will reverse out, but just picture a line from left to right. And Z, every time you do something that gets you closer to your goal, that's called traction.
Traction.
Every time that you do something that takes you further away from your goal, that's called distraction.
Distraction.
So you have to ask yourself, by taking that call, are you getting closer to your goal or further away? So this book I'm working on right now called Mastermind Manuscripts. Z, we've got some huge people that have agreed to be in the book so far. We got John Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
He's down. We got John Maxwell. He's in. Horst Schultz, the co-founder of Ritz-Carlton, is in.
Oh, yeah.
We've got, big names. But guess who shut me down this week?
I think I was there when they shut you down.
I think Seth Godin shut me down. And I'll tell you why he shut me down. Because apparently I'm a distraction. I think. Because I'm not getting him closer to his goal based upon the overview of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Seth is becoming increasingly guarded with his time because he recognizes he has less of it.
Right.
And I'm not mad that he rejected me. Ross Golan, the Grammy Award-winning artist, he told me no. So apparently I'm a distraction, and I'm not offended by it. So you've got to ask yourself, when you check, so let's do this, Kendall. Let's pull up my Facebook. Z, I'm going to pull up my Facebook here, and I'll read some of the messages, and you tell me if I should respond to these, okay?
I would pull up mine, but I don't have a Facebook.
Oh, nice. I'm pulling it up here. So here we go. I'm pulling it up. It's kind of fun when you haven't been in it a long time and you go in here. So I've got a guy who's well, hey, you're actually filming their. This is not going to work if you film their actual names. This is too transparent. Let's be semi. Can you blur it maybe or something? Or geez, this guy's putting me. Okay, so I got 5 people that are having birthdays right now. I guess it's telling me I got 5 people I know with birthdays.
Oh, that's nice.
In order to be a good person, do I have to let them know happy birthday? Am I a bad person if I don't do that?
No, no.
I used to feel like I was a bad person.
No, it's no to both.
So I don't have to?
You don't have to.
Okay. I got another person who wrote a comment, very nice comment, about one of our businesses, and they're very appreciative, and I appreciate that they're appreciative. That's great. But do I have to respond to the comment?
No.
But I have people on my team that are on top of that, but I don't have to. And then you get these private messages. Devin, how do I get to my private messages? What do I do? It's been, oh, wow, I got friend requests here.
Whoa.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah,
let's do eeny.
Really, somebody wants to be a friend with you.
Let's do eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go. Yes, that's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I did it, and I guess I need to do this for 13 hours. I haven't done this in I haven't done this in I think 13 months. Even been in here. Let's hit the confirm button. Let's do that. And now let's go. I mean, where are the messages, Devin? How do I get to
the one with the little that guy.
Oh, this is where they're a direct message.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, this is gonna be awkward because I got a message from my mom, and I love my mom, but I equally discriminate. I never respond to anyone's messages. I don't, and you know why I don't? Because in there are things that I don't want to deal with.
I know. That's the other thing, too, about not responding to these things and not having social media and not doing all that. Ignorance is bliss. Yes. And the other thing that I think is kind of the sidebar of this whole topic we're talking right now.
Yeah. I'm kind of addicted.
Is now. I'll let him have his little Facebook moment, get his endorphins going good and solid there. Is what you're going to do with those 13 hours.
There we go.
You say, well, I'm not going to do emails, but now that gives me more time to play Xbox, and then you just flip it for Xbox. It's a net no gain. So, people are all the time saying there's not enough time in the day to do the things that you're telling me to do.
Right.
They come to our business conferences and they get all excited, they get all hot and bothered, and they write everything down, they get their free books, they get their free stuff, they shake and greet a lot of people that are in the same same place that they are in life, maybe not the same industry, of course, but the same place. And then they go home, and then you check in with them later, they check back in with you later, and you say, well, did you get XYZ done? And they're like, I just don't have time. I just don't have time to do it. And that's one of the things that I hear a lot is that when people come up and say, I want to start a business, and you go, what's the first step? You tell them the next step. We give them the little pathway to get there.
Give them the path.
There
it is.
And then when you check back in with them a month later, you go, well, did you get step 1 done? And like, I can't find the time. And I think it's because we have so many of these time wasters.
Yeah.
And this is just one of many time wasters. And that's another reason why I say get off of social media for 30 days.
Get off it.
And take that extra time with your life. Maybe hang out with your kids, your spouse a little bit more.
No.
Oh, crazy, I know.
Talk to people?
Talk to people?
What are you saying?
Go do something fun.
What a controversial idea.
Take your kids to a movie?
What?
Oh, that's crazy. And find out, challenge yourself what you can do with that extra time that you freed up. And then you can, because Forbes tells us, or there our business Bible, Forbes tells us that 67% of you listening right now are wanting to be in business for yourself. You're wanting to.
And we'll put a link to that stat so everybody can check it out. It's unbelievable.
And so that means 2 out of 3 of you are doing it. And why aren't you doing it right now? Maybe you don't have the right idea. Maybe you don't have the right mentor.
Well, right now I can't because I'm on Facebook.
maybe because you don't feel like you have the time to do it.
Oh.
You may think to yourself, that's pretty daunting. And it is. It's a commitment, and you got to be all in, and you got to go. And most people can't quit their job.
Come on now.
To start a business. You've got to overlap them some. And then that means now your time, what little precious time you have now, is getting sucked up even more. So you've got to be able to get off of emails. You've got to be able to get off of social media, free up some time.
You got to quit reading blogs and watching TED Talks.
You got to do that, and then you got to take those steps. And if you say, what are those steps? And I'm excited, and you're maybe new to the show, well, we come out to our next conference. We do a 2-day conference. We walk through all the steps on how to take an idea and turn it into a business, and it's a lot of fun.
Steve Jobs, who couldn't be here today because Devin, why couldn't we book Steve Jobs on today's show? What's your theory?
What's his excuse this time?
I think he died.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
there-
always
that's-
makes it
that's-
tough.
that's-
Thank you
that's
for
always tough.
keeping track of that.
Okay. That's why he didn't respond to my email.
We were a distraction to a dead man. But he says here, Steve Jobs said back in the day, he says, the doers are the major thinkers. The people that really create the things that change this industry are both the doer and the thinker and one person, the doer and the thinker. So see, this weekend, I was thinking because
Were you doing or just thinking?
well, I was thinking and I was doing.
Oh,
See,
there you go.
my wife, we have cheerleading, and some weekends are more cheer intense, where you've got a competition or you've got a workshop.
Oh, no. I know
And
how much
so-
you love being a cheer dad.
Yeah, and what's cool is if they're in town, if it's a workshop or something, or an in-town a clinic or performance, I only have to go to that 2 or 3 minutes where they perform, and then I'm
Sure.
out.
And then you're out.
And they perform for like 3 minutes. So I go see it and I peace out. So this weekend, I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a book this weekend just to see, if we could do it.
Yeah, why not?
Because this show's about getting stuff done,
Getting her done.
So this book, it's called Entrepreneurship, Simplified, Amplified, and Visualized. It's based upon the Albert Einstein quote. He says, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
Yep.
And so in that book, I lay out just the really simple stuff. Like, what is entrepreneurship? It's selling a solution to somebody who's willing to pay for it, Talk about don't reinvent the wheel, like literally just copy what works and improve upon it. Talk about
Right.
chapter 3, escape the wage cage, But if you do, understand that you're going to be chased by a Viking in your pursuit of bags of money. The competition's chasing after you. So be careful if you escape that wage cage because you might get
Because
killed by a Viking.
now you're in a fight.
There you go.
Now you're it's kind of like wandering into one of those UFC fights.
Uh-oh.
The cage.
Yes.
And being surprised that someone just throat punched you.
Mr. McGregor, why are you so violent right now?
Why you seem so angry? Business is war. And people go, oh, that doesn't sound like fun. Well, it's fun when you win. Trust me.
But
it's fun when you win.
I see people, though, pastors, doctors, dentists, lawyers, people who are very successful who say, I don't have time to write a book. I just did it this weekend. And you say, well, how long of a book is it? Well, right now, this one will come out to about 200 pages.
You just shamed me. You just shamed me.
No, I'm not shaming you.
No. You did. I'm doing it to myself because I've been wanting. I have a book that's just practically written. I just got to sit down and do it.
Well, I'll sit down with you for a weekend and do it.
Okay. Well, I'll stop doing my emails and then I'll have time to do it.
This is the 3 things we need to get a book out of you.
Okay.
A red Solo cup.
Okay. Red Solo cup.
Vodka cranberry.
Vodka cranberry.
You and me, and I'll come out with a book.
That's 4 things, isn't it?
No, because if it's you and me, I just made it once. It's 3.
Oh, and vodka cranberries. I guess that's the same thing.
Well,
You can say
technically we have like 5
cranberry-flavored
things
vodka.
we need.
I know 5 things. Well, it's kidding. It's
And a computer.
The list is
no,
getting
but
long.
seriously, it's just the time of sitting down to do it. And I can tell you this: about every hour I'm working on the book, I'm like, frick, because it's tough. But then you get up, you burn some pinion wood, you get back after it. I was so mad at myself because writing is so hard for me. I said, I'm going to build that freaking path out there. That's what I did. I built that rock path.
And I am forever
just
grateful.
rage.
I'm forever grateful. I'm not sure where you started. You must have started it towards the driveway because
did.
you kind of ran out of rock.
I started it
Though
towards
it's
the
wide.
driveway.
It's kind of too wide in some places and kind of,
You listen here, buddy.
Hey,
I have paid a company to build that, and that company has not built it. So I've got the rocks just sitting around, and I'm like, I'm
like
going to
that-
at least do something right now.
It's like that famous sign. You could probably Google it, pull it up on the screen, but it's like that famous sign that says "Think ahead," and the think, and then the head, and then they run out of room. For the D, they can't get the D has to get really small, because they didn't quite have enough. They didn't think ahead about before they wrote it. So it's kind of
That's how I am when I write a card. I'm like,
yeah.
gotta cut it short.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm going to read. Z, do you feel like the guy who made the Facebook like button is a credible source to discuss the Facebook like button?
Let me think about that. Okay, I've thought about it. Yes.
Okay, so here's the deal. Justin Rosenstein, he is the gentleman who invented the Facebook like button. All right. And there's an article in The Guardian that came out where they're interviewing him, and it's a fabulous interview. And the article is called "Our Minds Can Be Hijacked: The Tech Insiders Who Fear a Smartphone Dystopia." Google, Twitter, and Facebook workers who helped make technology so addictive are now disconnecting themselves from the internet. Justin Rosenstein had tweaked his laptop operating system to block Reddit. He banned himself from Snapchat, which he compares to heroin, and he imposed limits on his use of Facebook. But even that wasn't enough. In August, the 34-year-old tech executive took a more radical step to restrict himself and his use of social media and other addictive technologies. Rosenstein purchased a new iPhone and instructed his assistant to set up a parental control feature to prevent him from downloading any apps. By the way, Craig Rochelle, the pastor of the largest church in America, has done the same thing. He was particularly aware of the allure of Facebook likes, which he describes as bright dings of pseudo-pleasure that can be as hollow as they are seductive. And Rosenstein should know he was the Facebook engineer who created the addictive like button in the first place. A decade after he stayed up all night coding a prototype of what was then called the Awesome button, Rosenstein belongs to a small but growing band of Silicon Valley heretics who complain about the rise of the so-called attention economy, an internet shaped around the demands of an advertising economy. These refuseniks are rarely founders or chief executives who have little incentive to deviate from the mantra that their companies are making the world a better place. Instead, they tend to have worked a rung or two down the corporate ladder, designers, engineers, and product managers who, like Rosenstein, several years ago, put in place the building blocks of a digital world from which they are now trying to disentangle themselves. It is very common, Rosenstein says, for humans to develop things with the best of intentions for them to have unintended negative consequences. Rosenstein, who also helped create GChat during a stint at Google and now leads a San Francisco-based company that improves office productivity, appears most concerned about the psychological effects on people, who research shows now touch, swipe, or tap their phones 2,617 times per day.
Whoa.
There is growing concern that as well as addicting users, technology is contributing towards so-called continuous partial attention, severely limiting people's ability to focus and possibly lowering their IQ. We go on and on. If you look up, is your smartphone making you dumb? And Devin put a link to it. The Psychology Today now reports that your cognitive learning capacity drops to a level where you're basically a fifth grader mentally when your smartphone is present and you're glancing at it while talking to another adult.
Wow.
And we've all seen this before. And Charles, you had a hot take. We've all been in a meeting, though, where somebody is sitting there on their smartphone in the meeting.
Yep.
And man, and we've all been to a movie with somebody like this. And it makes you crazy. I went to a movie very recently, and the person next to me kept doing this every 10 to 15 minutes at a very nice theater, the Warren Theater, by the way. They kept going, what's this about? What's this part about? What's going on?
Watch the movie.
We're here together. I know as much of the backstory about this person as you do. And about every 9 minutes, they come back mentally. What was it part about? What was it about? Charles, you had a hot take.
Yes, I was going to say, you had said before that the average person has with like texts and emails and social media things about 170 dings on their phone or whatever. What was that number?
Well, Psychology Today, every year they do more studies. And Devin, I'll have you put a link to the article, Is Your Smartphone Making You Dumb? And then the other one, Is Your Smartphone Making You Depressed? The number we reported 2 years ago was 90. Then it went up to 100. Now they're saying we're up to like 120.
Yep.
And there's some studies that are really disturbing, and I'm not exaggerating. This is very scary stuff. And Devin put a link to our interview with Laurie Santos, the professor at Yale who's doing a class on this. But see, when people kill themselves, these teenagers and college people, they're taking their phone and kind of doing like a phone biopsy, and they're looking at the phone, and they're finding that the people who kill themselves are using their smartphone about 2 to 3 times more than the people who don't.
Okay.
It's like they're in a perpetual argument with the world on their phone, and they can't escape it. So it's some dangerous stuff out there.
It is some dangerous stuff. And don't even get me started on this whole driving and using your smartphone. I tell you what, if I had $1 for every time I sat behind someone at a light and the light would turn green, and you look over at them or you look up in front of you and they're on that dang phone, you're just like, people, really?
People.
The 37 seconds that light was red, you had to get out your phone and look something up. Seriously,
I got bumped by an air conditioning truck the other day, getting off of the creek, and so I get off and I'm waiting to turn right on going north on Riverside there, past the toll, and I had to wait to merge because there's traffic everywhere, and I just get bumped pretty hard, like boom, like this, and I'm in the Hummer, I'm not mad or anything, but I get out and The guy was like, I am so sorry. I just had a customer text come in, and I was trying. I shouldn't have glanced at it. I'm not going to sue him and file a claim. He bumped into a Hummer with 200-something thousand miles on it. I'm good. But he's like, I'm so sorry. I just glanced first. All it takes is just a glance, and the next thing you know, Charles, you had a hot take.
Yeah, I was going to say, and that's where all those interactions every day pull you off track from your action items or your task list. That's the most important revenue-producing activities. You had started me off with business coaching. You had actually told me to shut off my phone, stick to my action items on my written agenda, and it was a game changer. Like, I thought I wasn't doing that well. I thought I was doing that well, but I wasn't, and you coached me through that, so that was huge. And a new quote that Pastor Craig just came out in one of his last sermons, he says, a distracted warrior is a destructive warrior.
Oh, yes.
So if you're distracted, you're being destructive to your future. If you're an entrepreneur, you're from all of your goals. I mean, your highest is. Go ahead.
And also in this I want to take the show to a super weird place, but it's powerful. It's powerful. Pastor Craig says this is so good. He said you have to hate the distractions.
Yes.
And he also went on. He was talking. His talk was about adult content and pornography, and he said,
yes.
What is how do I, as the pastor of, and everyone should watch the sermon. Devin, put a link to Pastor Craig's last sermon on today's show notes. But he says, how do I prevent myself from looking at adult content? And he was really funny. He goes, when I was 27, I prayed to God that he would cure me of lust. I prayed, and all of a sudden, bam! And I never had a lustful thought again. And he's like,
that's not true.
That's not true. That did not happen. And then he says, but what I do is I've set up these things where I can't download an app.
Yep.
I can't go look at adult sites. And he goes, I have a keystroke recorder on my computer and all my devices. So my top, 3 or 4 people in command, they can see what I'm doing all the time. And then not only is it helpful for him to, like if he can't find a file, they can see where he's been looking. There's all sorts of benefits to it. But he's like, then it's just not a temptation.
Yep.
And so he was talking about the temptation being the thing. And I would just say, we have got to right now determine where do we want to go with our life. And for me, what I want to do, what I want to do is I have some books in my brain, 21 of them that are in my brain, and I have got 16 of them out. And I don't know where the other ones will be, but I had 21 in my brain, and I have 16 of them that are done. And so right now, I'm publishing. Should be out maybe this week. Devin, Podcast Domination. Are you launching that on Amazon? Is it this week or next week?
I think it's still in editing. So.
Okay, but we got Podcast Domination. We got If the Walls Could Talk. We've got the Entrepreneurship Simplified. We've got the Mastermind Manuscript. So I'm almost done with the books that are in my head. But let me tell you the trade-offs I've made. Really not that many. Because I don't have 13 hours a week, Z. I'm wasting on email.
Right.
You're the most productive human I've ever met.
I was we did a podcast on Saturday morning, and somebody was looking at my schedule, and they go, "Do you block out every hour?" Z, can you talk about because you're in a different place. You're 15 years further down the road than I am.
Before you ask me that,
Yeah.
I've just been over here doing a little Googling.
Yeah, do it.
and I found some interesting stuff on smartphones and car wrecks.
Please.
I mean, they say it's now worse than drunk drivers because drunk drivers are at least driving slow and maybe they're swerving a little bit.
Semi-conscious.
Yeah, semi-conscious. I mean, people that are on smartphones, they're not slowing down. I mean, they're hitting full impact. I mean, they're not. I mean,
Dude,
bam.
it's dangerous.
Yes. What it said on here? It said, hold on, let me get back up here. It says,
I can say this:
26% of all car accidents were caused by cell phones.
Devin, look up this.
And that was in 2014.
This is look this up. Look at this. This is crazy. Look up pedestrian deaths caused by smartphones. In New York, they're having people just I was at Target, and I shared this story on a previous show, but I was at Target probably about a year ago. Awesomest thing ever. See, this guy is the cool guy. You know the cool guy who wears the compression sleeve?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Charles, you know the guy in the gym with the compression sleeve. He's got the baller shorts. He's got the do-rag on like he's Deion Sanders. He's the coolest guy in the world.
Yeah, they got these things now. They have the masks that go over their face that helps them with the breathing.
You know what I mean, though? This is the coolest guy.
Yeah.
You can picture him because you own a gym. You've seen the coolest guy in the world.
Oh,
the
yeah.
coolest guy in the world is walking into Target, and he is the coolest. I mean, he's the coolest guy ever. He's a
cool cat.
You picture the Backstreet Boys at their peak. I mean, this is like, wow, this is AJ from Backstreet Boys at the peak. I mean, This is Mark Wahlberg. This is Elvis. This guy's cool.
He's cool.
He's cool. He's a cool cat. And homeboy, I'm getting my cart, and homeboy walks into the door, face right into the door, full speed, because there's the opening doors, and the doors open, but he was off too far to the right, and he just walks into that wall, the glass wall, and boom! I mean, like his face and his teeth hit that thing, and it's like boom! And now he's got the Apple ear things on, the earbuds.
Oh, yeah.
So he's like trying to play it off, like I'm cool, and he's looking down. And I'm like watching this guy, and then seriously, I just because once you see him, you kind of see him everywhere. So I go over to the book section. I'm trying to get a book.
Kind of see him.
No, because he's everywhere now. My wife's shopping, so I'm at the book section. Whenever she shops, I just go to the book section, look for books, whatever. So I'm looking at the Gucci Man autobiography. I'm looking at an autobiography from Chip Gaines. I'm kind of flipping through some books. I get back in the line, and homeboy's doing self-checkout, but he can't pay attention long enough to check out. And I'm watching him, and I'm like, struggle bus. Come on, my man. Because people are like behind him in line. But he can't like do the card, and he can't, and the lady's trying to help him, and he just can't. I don't know what he's listening to. And so anyway, that set me off on kind of a research deep dive. And one other funny story that I just read about, but Sam Smith, the super popular pop artist,
yes,
he's on a subway in England, and
Oh,
he's
yeah, that's a
noticing
great
the guy
story.
next to him is blaring Sam Smith in his headphones. But so Sam Smith is sitting next to a guy who's listening to Sam Smith.
Right.
And so Sam Smith tries to get a conversation going, like, hey, guy, hey, what's going on? And the guy's like, no. He can't pay attention. He's like, I don't have time to listen to you, Sam Smith, because I'm listening to Sam Smith. Well, he doesn't even recognize he's by Sam Smith.
What an opportunity he had. I mean, that's so funny.
It's just this is the world.
And then he kind of shrugged him off. He kind of gave him a shrug off, right?
I personally have ADD so bad. If I'm talking on the phone and driving, I miss like every turn. Like
Same
every
here, brother.
turn.
Same
and
here.
I'm like,
yeah.
I've got to never be on the phone. Never, ever. I don't even get the phone out. I like hide it away as I'm driving. Or else I will never get where I'm supposed
And I
to
go from 0 to 60 too. So like when if I do have my phone on, so on the weekends, if I ever do, slip up and have it on, a lot of times I keep it in my car. So I usually don't. But if I hop in my car and then I get a Bluetooth ding or something because I forgot to turn on airplane mode, if it's something bad, I immediately want to solve it.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what's going on. And so this is me behaving very, very, very badly about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. We had a holiday, and my phone was turned off, and somebody in my family said, hey, I picked up your phone, and I saw you had an urgent message. Could you look at it? And I looked, and see, it was like a DEF CON situation.
Oh, I hate those.
It's like a customer who wants to sue us because the haircut wasn't good, and people do this. They said, well, you ruined my haircut, and I'm just so upset, and I was, And so here we are on a major holiday, and I'm going, I'll just let it go mentally. I'll let it go. So I come back, but I can't come back because I'm there mentally.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot come back, and I want to come back.
You want to.
But I can't. And I am like seething, like nuclear, like epic. I cannot, because it's such a crazy situation. And then, and Devin, you can vouch for some of these stories. But Devin, how often do we have a client that I've worked with, or a former client who they can't find their passwords, or their website has crashed, a website that we no longer maintain? How often does this happen?
At least once a week.
Yeah. So see, then I look, and it's somebody's website is down, and they're more pissed.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, to Vanessa, I said, babe, and you don't understand, when you're dealing with someone who has dragon energy like I have,
yes,
just pumping through my veins, a sense of urgency to get stuff done. I'm like, babe, I have to take this call. And she goes, okay, I get you, but don't take more than an hour, please. I'm like, it'll take 5 minutes. I'm not kidding you. A full 50 minutes, I'm dealing with issue 1785. I mean, I'm just flying through it because I can't. That's why I got to put it down. I am a super productive person, but when I get home, I got to turn that thing off.
You got to.
And so, and see, I want to.
You know your limitations, and you know that it's not it's self-control to put it down. You don't have the self-control that once it dings and you see a problem, then you're going to want to fix it because that's your nature.
I want to give one more tip to the listeners out here today about how to get 13 hours back per week, and I want to allow you to really just educate us here in the final 5 minutes here. Do you remember the time when you used to carry a to-do list? Do you remember when you used to carry a to-do list?
Yes, the good old days.
Remember that super small font you would write in?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, would you a yellow pad, or what was your move? Yellow pad?
Yeah, Big Chief with number 2 pencil. I loved the pencil on that paper. Oh, it just felt so good.
You remember when you got to a level where you had enough competent managers and qualified lieutenants where you didn't have to carry that list anymore?
Well, the list became really small. I mean, there's always a to-do list in my brain, but it's pretty small now.
But you know what I mean, when you could put down the big tablet?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember that moment?
I do.
And do you remember when you used to have to block out every hour because you had so many patients you were seeing per hour? You used to have a time block every hour of your day. Do you remember that when you were like 31 years old?
Sure.
I do. I remember that.
I do.
Because I was 19, I think, when you were 31, 32, something
like that, yeah.
And do you remember that, though? You had blocked out your calendar and you were still seeing occasionally you were seeing patients?
Patients and then reps and all kinds of things, you know.
Now, what happens if someone tries to live like you now, but they're not there they're not there yet? Like, they're still on the spot. Because, like, I still block out my calendar because I got a lot of things I'm working on that require that kind of thing.
Sure.
But you've got a big old team of people now, and you don't have to do that anymore. What would happen if you were a 31-year-old man, 27-year-old guy, 25-year-old startup guy, and you didn't have that to-do list, and you didn't block out that calendar, and you weren't fastidious about writing crap down at that age in your career? What would have happened?
Well, I hate to think, and it's probably contributes to 90% roughly of all businesses that start up fail. I mean, this is Forbes, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, call it 85%. I mean, you pick a number, but a lot of businesses fail. And I think it's because people start the business and they treat it like it has been around for 20 years, that it is they have someone they can count on, that they don't have to double check, that they don't have to block out their day. They don't have to really be accountable for their to-do list and really stay on top of it and just always working on it as well as working in it. So there is that balance when you start. You have to not only work in it, but that's not all of it. You've got to work on it. And working on it's having your to-do list, blocking out your day, scheduling things, and being very purposeful. It's always, to me, it's about being purposeful. And if you're not purposeful with your moments, with your minutes, with your hours, somebody's going to grab them from you. Because the game out there right now is, by getting your attention, I can monetize that. By getting you, by getting your attention, by getting you to look at something, and by looking at it, that's step one. And then all of a sudden you click on it, and it takes you to that website that's selling that product. Step two. Step three is now all of a sudden you're scrolling through that website, and you're looking at all the colors and the sizes and all the shapes does this one glitter, that one doesn't glitter. Ooh, click, click, click. Next thing you know, you're pulling out your credit card and you're making a purchase. So attention that's why these people out here that have millions of followers can actually be paid money to have product, placement in their pictures. And they get paid to say that this bathing suit or this T-shirt comes from this company, and what they're vying for, and what they're getting paid for is your attention. So if you're not purposeful in what gets your attention, there are so many people out there fighting and scrambling and writing new code to get to the bells and whistles to get your attention. And that's what we're talking about, is being in control and being in charge of your attention so that you can get some stuff done and you can take your life from here over to there, Now,
if you're a business owner, let me tell you how to really make a lot of money as a result of the jackassery. Every one of my clients who's successful always says, Clay, I would never click an ad. I go, that's because you're successful.
Right.
All right. So now, but the average person will click that ad.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they'll click that ad once. They'll click that ad twice. They'll go down that Google rabbit trail. They'll chase that ad. They'll click that ad again because they're looking for something to do called a distraction.
Right.
But you, as a man of action or a woman of action, you do not. You need to use social media to show your ads. The rest of America will use social media to show their ass. That's what's going on.
That's what's going on.
You need to use your social media accounts to show your ads. Everybody else is going to go up there to show their ass.
You don't want to show your abs? Charles, you can't put your abs on there, okay? But I guess his abs could be his ads.
Yes.
Because he owns a fitness statement. Am I right? Am I right?
Wow. I know that I would be clicking that.
We decided not to do that anymore.
No, Amber says no.
Get the funnel poured on that. The funnel on that.
There's an ad or two we've done, and I thought, well, we won't do that again.
Those are the ones we want to see.
So if you're out there today and you're trying to get 13 hours per week back, I've got a few steps here for you, okay? Step number 1, block out a specific time every day to look at your email. And then only look at your email then.
Only.
Step 2, get a qualified customer service rep and or a personal assistant. and have them respond to your emails and tell them, hey, Clay, Amber, Charles, Z, whoever they say, hey boss, when can I ask you all of the questions that I have? What time per day can I do that? And then let them respond to the emails. But it's so worth it. I hate to see when we have such limited time, and when you don't want to lose 15% of your decade. I mean, that's crazy. 15% of every decade. You don't want to lose that to email.
No, you don't.
That's dumb.
That's stupid.
I mean, that's not a good move. That's not a good move.
It's not a good move, and it's how you free up the most important thing that you have, and that is your time. Because with that time, you can conquer the world.
You can.
You can start a business.
Do you have more hours than everybody else in your schedule? Do you have more than 24 hours?
You know what? I feel like I do.
I was reading.
No, I don't.
I was reading the autobiography of Oprah, and I thought somewhere in there I'm going to discover where she's going to say, tip number 1, I have 45 hours per day. I thought, but I never found it. I'm reading Elon Musk's book, and I'm going, he's got 24 hours. And read Andrew Carnegie, and I'm like, well, perhaps he had more.
He probably could just buy more.
But everyone has the same amount of time. So how do they get it done? They're saying no to grow. They're you got to eliminate those distractions. Okay, you got to do it. And see, I think it's time to interview our next guest. So before we do that, I think we should probably end this show with a boom.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Oh yeah.
And without any further ado, 3, 2, 1,
boom.
There have always been people who don't believe. They don't believe in hard work. They don't believe in responsibility. Ultimately, they don't believe in themselves. They believe in shortcuts, in luck. They believe that outside circumstances control who succeeds and who doesn't. It's just the luck of the draw. But you are not one of these people. You believe that no matter what your circumstances tell you, success is still possible. And you accept this responsibility because you want to achieve something great. You're hungry for it. You chase it from the moment your eyes open in the early morning. You chase it into all hours of the night when others have given up, when others have said that it couldn't be done. You've kept pushing because you believe that success is not a game of chance. Success is a choice that you make every single day. That's what you believe.
Discover the world's most affordable and effective business school today at ThriveTimesShow.com.